What's happening, guys? I wanted to just share something and encourage some people in their journey, and encourage you to continue to step into what God is calling you to do, because you never know what could happen. Okay, you've probably by now at least heard or seen a picture or seen some kind of buzz about this song, "Richmond North of Richmond." It's a dude. He's this country guy, big old red beard. And a month, I don't know the exact date it came out, roughly a month ago. I think his name is actually Chris something. Oliver Anthony, I think is the name on his YouTube channel. Anyways, about a month ago, nobody in the whole world, apart from a few people, nobody knew who this guy was. He had a YouTube channel for a while, because I've looked at it a little bit, but he made the song "Richmond North of Richmond," and I don't even know how many tens of millions of views it has now, roughly a little over, I think, a month later. Okay. He's literally famous. God snapped his fingers, and this dude is famous overnight. Number one song on iTunes. I don't know if it still is, but it was, or if it still isn't even. And he talks about God. And he'd never even done a paid gig in his life. The first paid gig he did was after the song came out, and everybody, went crazy, and everyone started loving it. And the very first thing he did when he got up on stage was read from Psalms. Now it's just exploded, man. And recently he was even on the Joe Rogan podcast, which the Joe Rogan podcast per one episode beats out the other top 10 mainstream news shows outlets combined. If you take the top 10 prime spots in all of mainstream media and combined how many viewers those average shows get all together, Joe Rogan's one episode beats them all. He gets about 11 million listens per episode. This dude went on there and started sharing his story. I listened to like a little over half of it, not the whole thing yet. But this guy had like a brain trauma and was suicidal and was drinking himself to death and smoking weed and outrageously bad mental health issues. Incredibly bad. I think he was saying even 6 months ago, he was wanting to just kill himself, and he was drinking himself to death. And he said on the Joe Rogan podcast, 99% of all the issues went away when he just gave them to God. He, on the Joe Rogan podcast, the most popular news outlet in the world, media outlet in the world, is a podcast. On this podcast, he whipped out his Bible and started reading it on the pod. He read from Proverbs 4. And if you listen, he's definitely still on a journey working through his own theology and who God is and his relationship with God, okay? Which makes this even more fascinating. I say all this to encourage you with this, okay? God can use anybody. Anybody, at any moment, God can say, "Yep, it's go time." And maybe it doesn't look like that. Like he snaps his fingers and all of a sudden the whole world knows who you are. But in a heartbeat, he can open any door and help you with anything and shift anything and use you to influence anyone. This dude was as lost and broken as anybody. And right now he's smiling, he's healthy, he's walking out his relationship with God, he's posting Bible verses, he's reading the Bible and the Joe Rogan. Look, guys, we still get this perspective, if we want to make an impact and we have a calling on our life, we got to be at church and have a ministry. That's great. If you're called to it, awesome. And there's a lot of people making a big impact with that. But let me tell you this, Jesus called you to be the light of the world, not the light of the church, okay? And there's a very big world out there that's hungry. They're hungry for truth. They're hungry from hearing from people that are raw and real and that will be real about what's going on and not afraid to talk about God. And if God can do that with this guy, I think his name's Chris. I think his YouTube channel is Oliver Anthony. He's extremely talented. He's already written a second song since that one, and I love it. It's called "I Want to Go Home." I don't even like country, and I like this guy's music. The reason people love it is because he's real and he's talking from the heart. He's singing from the soul. He's real, and people can feel it. I just encourage you, be real, be authentic, be you, keep going. God's going to use you, and you never know. In a heartbeat, God could change everything.